right. Initial podcast, take one.
Hey, and welcome to the Atlanta Voiceover Studio podcast. I'm Mike Stoudt.
And I'm Heidi Rew. The Atlanta Voiceover Studio's mission is to equip, inspire, and elevate by giving you the resources you need to create the voiceover career that you want.
Yes, this podcast is going to feature conversations with industry professionals that are geared to give you more insight in the world of voiceover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And today we're just going to kind of share a little bit more about what you can expect from this podcast going forward. And then a little bit about who we are, because you may be like, who dat? Who's talking there, and why do we need to listen? Right, yeah. Exactly. And then what is Atlanta Voiceover Studio and how can we help you? So let's go ahead and get started with what you can expect from this podcast. Mike, yes, you want to kick it off?
No, I was going to say, you can. Ladies first.
Okay. Well, first of all, we're going to have industry professionals here in the voiceover industry, not only just in Atlanta, but also beyond. Part of Atlanta Voiceover Studio is we wanted to be able to give you more resources and to be able to learn more about the world of voiceover. And right now, it's hard for us to add in one more workshop that we have, and one more workshop to offer you. So we thought this would be a really great way for you to be able to learn more, we don't have to find another Saturday somewhere where we can squeeze in another workshop. So, yeah, that's what you can expect. The first person that we'll have on the podcast is Gerald Griffith, and he is the founder of VO Atlanta, one of the biggest voiceover conferences like in the world.
Yeah, it's grown so huge. Mm-hmm. And Heidi was the one that actually went first, and because I'm an introvert, so those things kind of scare me. But really, once you're there and you're in front of people, it really is a great event, mm-hmm. and he puts on a really good. All the workshops and the X sessions and whatnot, it really comes together really well.
Yeah. So you want to talk about like the content, like what people can hear? I mean, yeah. I talked about who is on there, but then what they may be able to hear.
Right. There are a lot of things in voiceover, a lot of what we call the nuts and bolts. So you're going to get our perspective on it. What are some of the problems or challenges, or as Stephen Pressfield would say in the the war of art. Resistance. Yeah. What is some of that resistance? Kind of the behind the scenes of voiceover. Like I said, the nuts and bolts, actionable insights, what you can do to help your voiceover career, as well as just short episodes that, aren't going to suck up a bunch of your time. I know we're big into podcasts and we listen to a bunch, and when they go on so long, we just don't have time for that. And you probably don't as well. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to make something that was just short and powerful and impactful.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. And also, one of the biggest things that we can do as a kind of product, as a voiceover talent, is to be able to know what problem we are solving for mm-hmm. the client or the potential client. And so this is a way that we can be able to talk to some of those potential clients, from ad agencies to casting directors or whatever, to where we can kind of find out what some of their problems are. We can look at it from their perspective, and that is going to help us mm-hmm. to meet their needs even more.
It's kind of like a reverse engineering type of thing, mm-hmm. of rather than just, I'm just going to audition and hope that I get some jobs out of it. It's helping empower you to not just be subject to the whims and the waves of the voiceover industry, but actually let you feel that you have a little bit of control. Even though what control do we all have? We grasp onto what we can. But you take care of what you can, and what you can't, you just say, okay, mm-hmm. I'm gonna see what comes.
Yeah. And the reason why we even want to do this, and I kind of touched on it earlier, is just that we so wish that we had this starting out. We wish that we had these type of resources at our fingertips or in our backyard. Yeah. And so we want to be able to help bridge that for you and be able to provide it for you.
Yeah. And there's more information that's out nowadays, thankfully. Mm-hmm. But, if you don't, there's a lot of people who are trying to take advantage of that. And we're trying to counteract that, I think, and just give you some stuff that you wouldn't necessarily find or that you'd have to pay a lot of money to get. We just kind of want to give that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who we are.
Oh, yeah. Why should you be listening to us?
Yeah. So, Mike, do you want to share exactly kind of like how we met, but also how that kind of corresponded with our
Yes,
voiceover
Heidi.
careers?
We met in radio. I told her I love you, and then crickets. And then finally, she said yes. And here we are today.
I did say thank you after you said that you loved me.
July 4th. Yeah, it was the 4th of July. I don't remember the exact date. Oh, maybe it was 2009.
Yeah.
I was like, I love you. And it was like Garth from Wayne's World. Thank you.
I didn't know what to say. I wasn't quite ready yet.
We'll get to that. So we ended up, I've been in radio since the early 90s. And then I came up to work in radio, doing nights at a radio station here in Atlanta. Heidi was in college at some point, and then she ended up interning at the radio station. I was like, who's that? And then it kind of blossomed from there. And there's a whole lot more that we're skipping on. So if you want to go grab coffee and find out all those intricate details, we're more than happy to share and be open and honest with it. But we just we clicked, and I couldn't believe that this beautiful woman really liked me.
Oh, so sweet.
Yeah. And then I tell her I love her, and she says thank you. And then finally, I just convince her, and then we get married.
The end.
The end.
Happily ever after. So, Mike, tell everyone kind of how long you've done voiceover full time, and share some of your clients and what you mainly focus on, or what your specialties are in the world of voiceover.
Yeah. So I started doing voiceover along with radio. So voiceover and acting along with radio, I would say the early 2000s. And within a few years, I could have just made the leap to become a full-time voiceover talent. But, when you have a full-time job with benefits, and you're getting paid, and then you're getting all this other voiceover stuff that I could just sock away in the bank. I'm not spending it on anything. I'm just socking it away because I never know what's going to happen. You're scared to make that leap. But then finally in January, we're coming up on the end of January. Yeah, January of 2014, I was let go from my radio position. And I have to say, I had #1 ratings, and they got rid of me.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there, because it launched me into something that I had wanted to do, which was go full-time with voiceover and acting. I was just scared to. So I've never looked back, and that's been wonderful. What was the other question?
Some of your clients and what your specialties are in voiceover.
So I'm definitely a commercial voiceover artist. Though I'm coaching with one of our workshop artists, Thessaly Lerner, who's fantastic in animation, and she's been a voice talent for commercial and animation, and has been producing her own content for years. She just moved to Atlanta from LA, I think maybe a year ago, with her man-panion, as she calls him. So I'm coaching with her. I do industrials as well as whatever else opens up, but I'm constantly auditioning for different things. But my specialty is the commercial, friendly neighbor, the John Krasinski type. I have been getting some more animation and video game auditions, which I have to go do one soon. So I'd say that's my specialty.
Yeah, and you also do some promos too. Like right now, you're
Yes.
still the promo voice for
The Talking Dead, right? And that kicks back in a few weeks now, so that'll be fun. So promo's another one. Gosh, you kind of forget.
Yeah.
Some of my clients have been AMC, The Talking Dead, Home Depot, Ford, Georgia Power, Monroe Shocks, Kelly Blue Book. Some of these are national.
currently
Yamaha.
running Warby Parker.
Warby Parker. Yeah. It's so weird because people ask you, what have you done? And we've been so trained because we audition so many times. You do the audition and then you forget.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like I do the job and then I forget it too.
I
So
agree.
I have to keep notes
Yeah,
and whatnot. So what's one of the other ones? Oh, Troy University.
of course. Yes.
They've been a fantastic client, super people over there. And the agency that we work with is Chemistry here in Atlanta. They're all fantastic. It's been a well-oiled machine, and I'm very thankful for all that. Tropical Smoothie Cafe, they're a recurring client, and there's more, but I can't remember.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
So,
okay, awesome, wonderful.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, so I, like Mike said, I was.
And, I'm sorry, let me interrupt you for now. Why we're doing this? We were talking about why you should trust us.
Yeah.
Well, because we've been doing it for years, but we also continue our coaching, and we try and pass along all that stuff now to you in this podcast, as well as in our classes and whatever we learn. And Heidi is surpassing me in greatness.
Whatever. That is not even true at all. Oh my gosh.
She was once the student, but now she's the master.
No. But yeah, so even after college, I hosted a TV show on a small cable channel.
Tell them what it was.
Heidi's Bargain Boutique. And
Isn't that
I
cute, y'all?
affectionately called it the Redneck Home Shopping Show. Yeah. All my friends were like, well, Heidi, you have to start somewhere, sweetie. Like, you never want to hear that.
Wow, it's a great show. It's well, you have to start somewhere.
But I would do
the head cocking.
right. I would do a lot of their voiceovers too. So that was kind of my start. And then in radio, you would always get pulled in to do a lot of voiceovers. Whenever you were on air, they would just use you for all kinds of stuff. Yeah. But it wasn't honestly until Mike said, hey, do you have an agent? And I was like, what?
No, I think the first thing I said was, hey, you got a pretty voice.
Something along those lines.
You want to make money and use it?
He was like, you should get an agent. I was like, I don't even know anything about this industry. And of course, I had a full-time radio job, so I really wasn't even thinking about that. So he really kind of shared a lot about the industry and worked out for him because, we got married and now we're doing this together, which is awesome. Yeah. So I quit the radio station about 6 years ago. I will say that Mike and I's stories are so different for a voiceover because I think you booked your second audition, right?
It was like the first or second one.
First or second.
It was right out of the gate. And I was like, wow, this is easy.
Yeah, which is insane. I mean, that doesn't happen very often.
No.
But for me, my story is totally different. I got on with a smaller agent thanks to Mike and was booking some small stuff. But then when I got in my main big agent here in Atlanta, and this is while I was full-time in radio, but it took me 4 years to book one job. And I kept auditioning and he kept sending me auditions. And I kept thinking, he's going to drop me. Like, this is ridiculous. But I kept going and I learned a lot. And then I ended up doing a workshop too. And that really helped. Marilyn Wisner, if you know her, she's out in LA. She's fantastic. And that really, really did help me. But after that 4 years, I did start booking. And then, given, I think, a year, maybe 2 years, he was like, yeah, you're my top booker now. And I thought, why didn't you drop me at that point? And he said, because you were putting out great auditions. It was just a matter of time. And I was just so grateful for Richard Hutchison. He was my first main.
And he's retired as of this year.
I know. He was wonderful. So I'm so grateful to him. But also, I love to share that story because I hope that it encourages other people that stuff just may not happen right away. Yeah. Everybody's so different. Everybody's journey is so different.
And you need to trust agents too, that they know what they're doing. And it's a partnership. You kind of work for them, so you have to be on top of your game. You have to invest in yourself. You are a business, so you need to invest in yourself, whether it's private coaching, workshops, conferences, or just taking classes. Yeah. So he saw something and he heard it and he knew you weren't, just a flash in the pan, that you actually were serious about this. And agents can tell, so just be truthful.
Yeah. So I've been now doing it full time for over 6 years after I left the radio station and have just loved it. And some of my clients that I've worked with are Subway, Build-A-Bear. I did all the Belk spots for a couple years, which was great. They're wonderful people to work with.
Jiffy Lube.
Jiffy Lube was my big national spot that ran for several years.
Georgia Power.
Who else? Baby Einstein, Dunkin' Donuts, Georgia Power. Like Mike is, I have to look. I even was looking back over the jobs that I booked from last year. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, which is so sad. Coke. So Those are some of our clients.
It's so funny.
Just so you know.
You doing that. I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. I'm like
Yeah.
going through my own list.
I
It's like,
know.
oh, now I remember.
Yeah, which is listen, if you're listening and you are a voiceover talent, that is something that you always should do, is just to go back and look over the year and see all the things that you actually have done, because sometimes we can get,
Yep.
I mean, I'm like pot kettle black right here as I'm saying this, but we can get so focused on, I haven't booked anything in a week, or I haven't booked anything. And so,
Right.
and then, but to look back and go, wow, I did really good.
Yeah.
Good job. So it is a good thing to look at.
And as humans, I mean, we're automatically forgetful. We often forget so much, even in just a day. So and we could share this as a tip. My go-to throughout the week, I'll keep the date, what I book, where it is, the agency, mileage, and then, how much I get paid for it and whatnot. And then you can look back. It's so easy. I just keep it in a numbers or Excel spreadsheet. And it's super easy that way. And then keep a list of just what you book. And then if you find those commercials, either on Vimeo or YouTube or iSpot, it's iSpot.tv. Yeah, .tv, where you can actually input your name in there as the talent. Keep track of that, because if anybody asks, and they eventually will, you'll be able to just go, there,
Yeah.
that's what I've done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is so true. We remember the rejections or the negative comments so much more than we remember the compliments.
Yeah.
And so we have to do something to remind ourselves of those so we don't lose sight of the good.
Right.
Okay, so that's pretty much a little bit about us and where we are. What is Atlanta Voiceover Studio? Do you want to share how we got started, Mike?
Yeah, so we have a home studio, and Heidi was doing something else for her creative capabilities at that time, Parties for Pennies. And it was just kind of in flux, and she was doing a lot of work at home and, with auditioning from home as well. And we both kind of talked about it and how it would be such a neat thing to just have a little office or studio where we could just leave and get away from home and not be around work all the time. So we got a little 10 by 12 space and put a whisper room in there and started doing most of our auditions in there. And then opened it up to other voiceover talent who were local to Atlanta, who might have needed a place with a great space as well as sound, and so we started editing, and then they're like, well, do you offer workshops? We do now. Do you offer demos? We do now.
Well, and it was more than that, because we weren't like, oh, okay, sure, we'll do this.
Right.
It was that we actually were referring them to other people here in Atlanta, and we
Yeah.
realized there's
Hey,
just
wait.
not a lot of people to refer them to. And we realized there was some training that we had learned, or things that we have even learned. I mean, a lot of stuff I've even learned just self-taught
Yeah.
from years of trying to figure things out. And we just realized, oh my gosh,
We know this stuff.
We want to be able to share this with people.
Yeah.
It really was something that all of a sudden we thought, okay, we don't know exactly how to do all of this, as far as we don't know how this would work out. But we really do want to help people, and we want to give people the resources that they need.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of fell into place. We had Brian Bremer come to us and say, hey, I'm already doing this intro to voiceover workshops. Would you like for me to do it for your studio? Yes. Okay, great. We have some other great coaches and teachers. And then our kind of role is more facilitating, and we do teach a class, and I created a curriculum, but it's just based on our own experience and what we learned and have grown from. And yeah, so everything that we do is just born out of a need that people have expressed to us, I would really love this. Okay, great.
Right.
How can we provide you the best education and the best resources to help you get there or do that or learn that?
And even ourselves, I mean, we've spent thousands of dollars every year on training for ourselves just to figure out, okay, what works, what doesn't work, learn from the best coaches in the country. And then, some of that we're able to share, because we do want to see this whole area just be lifted up. We want to, I think, be responsible for helping, teach the next generation.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
But we've we've been pretty intentional about growing this slowly so that we're giving more than we're getting. I think
we're definitely giving more than we're getting. Let me just tell you that. It may seem like it to the outside world, but we are definitely giving more than we're getting, which is fine.
Yeah, because we're in it to, we're just in it because we want to see this place grow, not only the studio, but Atlanta. Because I think that there's people look at it like it's I don't know, just not as good as other areas of the country, and it's just not true.
Not true.
We've met some fantastic talent here, and there's a lot of voiceover talent that resides here.
Yeah,
and a lot of them are moving here because of the film industry. So, it's one of these things where we've ended up teaming up with a lot of great people along the way who have made us better, and I think that I'd like to say that we've helped them as well.
Yeah.
So it's a collaborative, and we just want to be the best and give the best.
And I also want to say that we're talking a lot about Atlanta because that's obviously where we're at. Right. But wherever you are, I mean, that is the beauty of voiceover, is that you can be the best voiceover talent in the world and live in, Timbuktu, small town, in the middle of nowhere. That is the beauty of this industry. And so just know that no matter where you are, that doesn't limit what you can do in voiceover. At least for the most part. There may be some other things with like animation or whatever, or promos, as far as like being in LA or whatever. But just so you know, that shouldn't limit you. So I just want to share, just to kind of wrap up, I want to share what Mike and I have come together to have as our values here at the studio, Atlanta Voiceover Studio. So we already mentioned that our mission is to equip, inspire, and elevate. But a kind of filter that we use to make every decision that we do are three things. And one of them is stewardship, one of them is grace, and one of them is freedom. And the stewardship, it means that when you come to a class, when you come make a demo with us, when you come to do an audition, when you do a studio booking with us, that we want to make sure that we're stewarding your time, your resources, monetary resources. We want to make sure if you're paying this that you're getting the most out of it.
More bang for the buck.
Yeah, and not only that, but we're making sure that we want to grow this business. We want to be able to offer more things for the students that come through, the clients that come through that book our studio. And so in order to do that, obviously, we've got to make smart business decisions as well and be good stewards in that fashion too. So that kind of ties into a lot of it. And freedom, we just kind of defined it as we're not making decisions out of fear, that we live in freedom. And then grace is grace towards each other, because as a married couple running a business together, it can be a little
We were getting
tricky.
along fine.
Yeah, I know. We had like no problems. And then we open up a business, is like, what?
I noticed that she didn't do things the same way I did, the correct way.
Same.
So we ended up going to a business and life coach, because she does both personal and business. And we're very open about that. I think we think everybody should go to a counselor.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're not self-aware, that will make you self-aware real quick.
Yeah.
And overall, it's going to benefit you.
Yeah.
It's investing in your soul, basically.
Yeah.
So, but it helped us to learn how to navigate these waters together a whole lot better than before, and to know how to communicate. And even understanding her personality a little bit more, I was like, oh, she's not doing this because she's trying to get back at me or something. Her motivation is because of X, Y, Z. Whereas I saw it before as being, oh, she just wants to be a pain to me, in this way. No, not at all. And vice versa.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's a little bit about us. Now, you can find out more about what Atlanta Voiceover Studio offers on our website, atlantavoiceoverstudio.com. But if you're in the Atlanta area, then of course we would love to see you for one of our workshops or classes, or if you have an audition, you can schedule that online, or studio booking, you can email us. But also, we've got some great online resources as well. We've got 10 tips that have really helped us make our careers full-time and, continue to increase our revenue every year. And then we've also got a home studio setup video that is coming out hopefully within
Shortly.
the next couple of weeks,
Yep.
but may already actually be out by the time this podcast comes out. Other than that, we hope that you sign up for our email newsletter. If you are a VO talent or if you are interested in voiceover, then we send out a free VO tip every single Monday. And it's stuff from like our own experience, what we've dealt with. It's just really great. It's short, it's to the point, but it's packed with some good information.
And it has all our workshops and classes and whatnot on there as well.
Yeah.
And some of them, I mean, we've had Disney casting director Jennifer Trujillo come through a couple times already, and stuff that she reveals in some of those I forgot what we just got.
The workshops?
The email. The workshops. But we've also given some of those tips away in the newsletter.
Yeah.
So it's always worthwhile. People do get a lot out of it.
Yeah. So you can sign up for that within our bio of the podcast, or we'll do this and do it in the show notes as well. And then you can also sign up by going to our website again. So listen, we would love to hear from you. Let us know what you think about the podcast. And the only thing I forgot to mention was how often we're going to put this out. So we're going to shoot for once a month. And then also, if you're signed up for the email newsletter, then you will find out exactly when the next episode comes out because we'll announce it there. But subscribe to the channel because we got something coming out every single month, and I hope that it really helps you and encourages you.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, or if you're watching, thank you for watching. It's Mike and Heidi. We're out.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us today as we navigate the world of voiceover and strive to elevate what we can offer as voice talent.
And if you enjoyed this episode, sign up for our email newsletter where we'll send you a juicy VO tip every Monday morning. So you can find the link for that in the description below.
And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode that could benefit your career.
We hope you feel inspired to move one step closer to your goal.